The brain is wider than the sky.
That's a poem written in the 19th century by American poet Emily Dickinson. In the poem, the speaker praises the human mind's capacity to imagine, perceive, and create, ultimately suggesting that the mind is boundless in its potential, and that its boundlessness links humanity to God. Welcome to the Kerberos Muster Drill. I'm Bubba.
And I'm Tiny.
Today we're breaking down 1899, Season 1, Episode 3, The Fog, and Season 1, Episode 4, The Fight. If you have not seen the first 4 episodes of 1899, swim ashore, go someplace where you won't get spoiled, because there will be lots of spoilers in this episode. In fact, we're going to begin with some feedback about spoilers, Tiny.
All right, Elias Sideways says, "Oh man, I was excited to hear your take on the show, till you got to the point where you were potentially spoiling Dark. I yelled out 1,889% and will not come back unless there is a big statement saying you will not spoil Dark. Background. I'm just 2 episodes into Dark because I loved 1899. I can't imagine I'm the only one like this, so please have some care in not spoiling it for us." Jeez, Bubba.
I feel terrible. We only said one spoiler about the Netflix show Dark, but it was a spoiler. So
we will renounce all spoilers for Dark. Please accept the apology, Bubba. You need to tweet that out as well. I don't know how he's going to know. And to come back, somebody let Elias Sideways know that we've made a big statement that we're not going to spoil Dark. And all I have to add to his comment is, I'm so glad he's not mad about WandaVision.
We spoiled that as well. Tiny, we're halfway through. Somehow, it seems like we haven't watched very much, but we're halfway through 1899. What did you think of these 2 new batches of episode, The Fog and The Fight?
The Fog felt really long to me.
Oh, yes.
I was like, did another episode start without the prompt from Netflix? But the episode 4, what was that one
called?
Fight. The Fight, that one was kind of made up for episode 3 for me.
Tiny, I almost 100% agree with you. I think that 4th episode, which focuses on Jerome and his struggles pre-ship and post-ship, I'm going to pull up another bit of feedback we got this week. Our good buddy Double M Matt Murdoch wrote, "What Bubba is missing about 1899 is this show is exactly like Lost and Dark."
Shh, Bubba. No Dark spoilers.
Well, Double M is right. That episode 4 felt exactly like an episode of Lost. Something happened before they got on the ship that heavily influenced their actions while they were on the ship. It showed connections between people on the ship before they got on the ship. To me, episode 4 felt great. I have a very complicated relationship with Lost, where at times I thought it was the greatest thing ever. At other times I thought, oh boy, this show really is just spinning its wheels and doesn't know what it's doing. But I did love episode 4. Tiny, tell everybody your thoughts on the TV show Lost.
I mean, you know what's ironic, Bubba, is of course, like a lot of people, I loved Lost, but my husband and I started to watch Lost with our teenagers.
Yep.
And it is so much slower than you thought. And what's funny is when we started watching 1899, I'm thinking, man, this is so slow. And that's what started happening on my Lost rewatch.
Man, listeners, did you watch Lost? We will have, I guess I've spoiled a little bit of the format of Lost, but hopefully we haven't spoiled anything else about Lost. Write to us and let us know what you think about these 2 episodes of 1899. Write to us and let us know what you about Lost. The way you do that is if you're watching on YouTube, you go down in the comments, type out what you're feeling. Give us a like while you're at it. If you're on social media, you can find us on The Hive, Twitter, and Instagram at DoublePHQ. That's the word double, the single letter P for podcast, HQ for headquarters, at DoublePHQ on Twitter and Instagram. If you're on Facebook, facebook.com/DoublePHQ. Tiny, we are halfway through. We're going to save our crazy theories, and I'm trying to come up with crazy theories to make this show make any bit of sense. But the one thing that we talked about, and this is a spoiler for WandaVision that we keep going on, is because even though I loved episode 4, because I don't feel like this is real at all, it's very hard sometimes to get engaged, especially with Ling Yi's story in episode 3. I'm like, maybe some of this stuff about her past before she got on the Kerberos is real and she's trying to deal with this trauma, but what's happening right now on the Kerberos is not real. So it feels very tough for me to feel for her plight when she's supposed to be, I suppose, a high class.
Human trafficked.
Right, human trafficked, when I'm like, well, this part of it is not real. How are you feeling about your WandaVision analogy here on episode 3 and 4?
It still feels pretty real to me. I guess it just feels a little bit like some puppet mastering going on with the whole, I don't know, what do you call those things when you're trying to solve the puzzle? It's kind of like the thing at Cracker Barrel with the pegs, but it's a slider version of that.
Yes, you mean what Daniel is playing with, the character Daniel.
His name? I didn't even know his name. Yes, but I mean he is puppet mastering that ship.
Right, to help us find what is lost. Okay, we got a couple storylines we can focus on, Tiny. Let's talk about them. But which is your favorite? The storylines we're going to talk about in this podcast is Maura Franklin and Captain Ike, as well as their relationship with the boy, and then whatever Daniel's up to. We've got the storyline of Ling Yi and her, I believe it's her mother, Yu-Ji, and the haughty Miss Wilson. Then we've got the storyline of the Danish homelanders downstairs and how Krester and Angel seem to be developing a relationship. So we could talk about that. And then the final storyline we can talk about is Lucien, Clemence, and Jerome. Which is your favorite of these? And we'll save it for last, but which of these is your favorite? Which of these is your least favorite?
Well, my favorite, and I was hoping you would get to it, is Lucien, Clemence, and Jerome.
Yes.
How he got on the boat, that there's obviously a romantic relationship. I think that has to be my favorite. It was the only flashback that I kind of wanted to know more about, if that makes sense.
No, I'm with you. That 4th episode really came through. It was really strong. So let's go to my favorite, just because I love Captain Ike so much. Maura seems to be an important part of this, because if you note at the beginning of these episodes, when Ling Yi and then when Jerome were told, wake up. According to the captions, that's Maura telling them to wake up. So I always find Maura interesting. So let's dive into Maura and Ike. The first thing they do is they are with that Dr. Murray, who didn't go to help pregnant Tove at all when she had her pregnancy issues. He is examining Ada's corpse, and he's like, no idea, she's dead.
Yeah. I mean, and then he had to go get to breakfast.
Right. It's the most important meal of the day.
Why are all these medical emergencies happening during mealtime?
Poor Dr. Murray. Now, Captain Ike, I say I love him, but he made a big mistake. He told his lieutenants, hey, let's keep Ada's death a secret for the time being. That was a big, wrong move.
Like they're not going to miss that she's missing. They have a ways to get to any land.
I mean, oh my goodness gracious. The ship moves into the fog, and we know that's freaky. Captain Ike brings Maura to his cabin. He reveals that he found, as we pointed out last time, they go over to the Prometheus. It looks like a doomed, destroyed ship, and he finds remnants of his daughter's ribbon on there. And he's freaking out. And he's like, hey, I'm a captain. I keep a captain's log. We need to go back to the Prometheus and get that captain's log. He also shows her the secret tunnel underneath his bed. Both the decision to go back to the Prometheus and revealing, I think, too much to Maura, who he doesn't really know yet. These were more fouls by Captain Ike, more mistakes, in my opinion. What do you think?
I think definitely not letting anybody know that the girl had died was a mistake. I mean, they later tried to let her soul out of the room. And if they had known she died on the upper deck,
right,
they'd known that her soul had already left. So I think it just caused the mistrust with the steerage passengers.
It was terrible. Now, Maura, since she's going to go back to Prometheus, what's she got to do? She's got to go down to the silent boy and say, hey, boy, stay here in the cabin. I'm going to be gone for a while. Dear God, how are you feeling about the boy? Is he still evil? Is he still creepy? Or do you think he's young Daniel? What are your thoughts on the boy who, as soon as Maura's gone, climbs underneath the bed and gets in the secret passageway.
He's definitely still creepy. My thought on the boy, and I'm sure I'm not the only listener who thinks this, but what if he is the boy from the miscarriage?
If he's Maura's miscarried son, oh, that would be heartbreaking. What is lost will be found. Oh, this is heartbreaking.
Well, and I'm thinking about the end of episode 4 where he goes to hug her. Mm-hmm. There just has to be some connection, right?
Right. Well, there has to be a connection. You're 100% right. But what is especially odd is in the last podcast we talked about, well, is the boy Daniel grown up? Daniel as a child, because they look so similar. In this episode, episode 3, they do have a bit of a connection where the boy, he comes out from the bed, there's a knock at the door, the infamous green beetle crawls in, and Daniel enters, and Daniel asks the boy if he's found it. And the boy just, the boy doesn't speak, he's just like, no. What in the world could these two be looking for? Is this Titanic? You mentioned Titanic before. Are they looking for that diamond that rose through overboard? Spoilers for Titanic right now. What in the world are Daniel and the boy looking for?
I really have no idea. I mean, the boy and the man seemingly look similar.
Oh, yeah.
And the man is so calm when the boy goes overboard. I don't know if you noticed this, Bubba, and I noticed this, but I don't know what it's from. But at the end of episode 4, they do a close-up of Daniel's hand, and he's got like a scar. Has something happened that I missed?
It almost looks, though, the one thing I noticed about his hand is it looks like he had been wearing a ring, and the ring is missing.
Right. So I don't know. It looked like a scar or a ring, and I was thinking back, did I miss something where the boy was injured, and possibly that's a tie that Daniel is the boy?
Well, what is wonderful is I'm almost positive 98% of the people listening to this podcast have watched the whole first season, and they either know the secrets and are not revealing them.
Don't tweet us. What if Elias tweets us a spoiler on 1899? That would be brutal. But I would get it.
It'd pay back.
Yeah.
What is lost is found. What I lost was my spoiler innocence. What I found is revenge.
In case you missed it, we denounce all dark spoilers.
Exactly right. Now, perhaps this is important, perhaps it's not important, but Ike is talking about the steam liner, these ocean liners, 3 German ships. They were sold to a British investor by the name of Henry Singleton. And so, my ears prick up when I hear Henry Singleton, because the envelope in Maura's room, remember, had Henry. It didn't have her name on it. It had Henry's name on it. What is lost will be found. Ay.
I did not notice that. Good catch, Bubba.
The company has installed some sort of new crazy equipment into these ships. Captain Ike on the Prometheus, he's like, I have no idea what it does. Obviously, it does something futuristic that Daniel's little puzzle slider.
There's a name for that puzzle slider.
I call it a Survivor Challenge, don't I? As for it.
No, he's Boston Robin that deal then.
Now, Captain Ike, he doesn't find the captain's log from the Prometheus, but he does find a list of passengers. And who's on that list of passengers but Maura herself?
Dun, dun, dun.
That tied with Maura telling people to wake up. Is she in charge of this insanity? Once again,
why doesn't she want to go back? I mean, nobody wants to go back, but she seems afraid to go back.
While they're gone, the mutiny on the ship takes over. This big, beefy guy, Franz, he's like, enough of this. I'm going to tell the Danish homesteaders about Ada being dead. He's like, listen, we're going to stage a mutiny. We're going to turn this ship back west, back towards America. And they take Olek. Olek almost doesn't have any storyline of his own in these 2 episodes. But Olek has officially gone on my list of, okay, I want somebody to save Olek. He seems like a good guy. He's the crew member who keeps looking at his picture of the Statue of Liberty, and there's something cool about Olek. He helps Ling Yi a bit in her episode, and in this storyline, he's just on the good guy side. So I'm officially Team Olek. He can join the team. Now, there's going to be one person I'm going to kick out of the lifeboat in a bit, but
now you're saying that the good team is Captain Ike. I mean, I like Ike.
Ooh, that's a great question.
I like Ike and Maura, but I'm not Team hitch the Prometheus to the ship and go back to Europe. So it's hard because I think the captain and Maura are more likable. They seem more balanced characters, even though they're dark in a way. But I mean, would you be the passenger, unhooking his handcuffs, or would you be the passenger putting on the handcuffs? I mean, I have to think I'm probably on Team Mutiny, even though I like these other characters better.
Right. How about this? I'm on Team Tove. We'll get to her in a bit. She's convinced me. I've come along to her. I want to keep pointing out about the creepy guy. We're told his name is Daniel. He and Maura are on the middle deck, and they run into each other. And Daniel's like, the fog might have come on purpose as a way to stop Ike from turning the ship back around and dragging them back to Europe. I really think Daniel knows what's going on. So is this him trying to help Maura realize what's going on, or is this him just throwing more fog on the fire? Now, a guy who gets on the captain's team is Ramiro. He hears that they're taking over the ship as a mutiny. He tries to warn Ike, but that just gets him locked up. Good work, Ramiro.
Why is he so dedicated to the captain? I don't remember him being so I think they need more people on that team, but It's just surprising to me how he wanted to risk himself to go warn the captain. I thought maybe he would be let me lock myself in the room type.
It was almost like Ramiro, and we don't really spend much time with him in either of these episodes, but Ramiro, he's obviously been involved in the deaths of somebody with Angel. He's posing as a padre. And I think at a certain point, he's just like, enough of the nuttiness, enough of the wrongness. I think he's fed up with his partner in Angel, and he's like, to hell with this. The captain's the one who's supposed to be in charge. I'm going to warn the captain. And that, of course, gets him in trouble. And what could it be? What other reason? Because you're right. There haven't been a huge number of scenes between the two of them.
Yeah, I really don't know. Now, Tove, is she the mother?
She's the pregnant woman.
Oh, she's the pregnant woman. Yes. I definitely, she seems neutral in a way. She seems like we're not going to kill a little boy, which is balanced. But, then she's also, I don't know, I don't know. Wants to work it out.
Right. Well, we'll get to Tove in a bit. I think she's good. Daniel, who will call part of this storyline, even though he's off on his own, he goes down to that device down in the engine room almost, and he attaches it to his survivor puzzle machine. And then it makes the Kerberos disappear and almost go back to a different plane of reality, a different plane of memory, whatever is going on.
Well, and I just want to, again, go back to my favorite character for a second. Jerome, is in a crewman's uniform trying to be helpful and gets thrown in the brig for being a stowaway. Meanwhile, Daniel swims up. Nobody's seen him before. Hakuna Matata. He's one of us, I guess.
Right. I guess he's on the good guy team. I'm hoping that this is a fake out, that the boy is creepy, Daniel is creepy, but somehow they're going to be on the good guy team. That's a bit what I'm assuming. I am assuming, I have no idea, but that's my current assumption. Listeners, if you've seen, don't spoil. But if you like our silly theories, tell us and let us know. If we're completely wrong, let us be completely wrong. But tell us what you enjoy about us being completely wrong on this. Once Daniel did this, suddenly everything started working again. The compasses, remember, which had gone crazy when they reached the Prometheus. The compasses are working again. They're facing west, even though the ship had a second ago been facing east. So much is going crazy. The mutiny takes Maura. They're taking everybody. They're looking for the boy. Captain Ike and Ramiro have managed to escape, but this is all just coming because Ibn, who is Tove and Krester's mother, she believes that the devil walks among them, and it's the boy who has caused all the death on the ship. And that gets us to the titular fight of the episode. Everybody's going to fight for control of this ship, really just for control of the boy, and he takes it like a champ. He gets thrown overboard without fussing.
She escalated quickly. I mean, she went from, let's go to, leading the pack out of nowhere.
Was there anything cute about the boy leading Maura to safety via, let's follow the green beetle? How come Maura isn't how come Maura should be a bit more like, kid, let them throw you overboard. What the hell's going on?
I appreciate appreciated that at least she looked a little bit surprised when the bug unlocked the door. So many weird things have happened that nobody has seemed very fazed by. So I appreciated she kind of had the what the face when the bug unlocked the door.
Right, but she trusts the boy. The boy is willing. The boy's going to guide me around the ship. Sure, kid, do it. In the fight, all our characters end up there. The boy turns himself over. Jerome, once again, your favorite character, he's like, this isn't right. He gets killed, or shot, not killed, we know that, by one of the mutineers, and they just throw the boy overboard. I mean, this is just crazy. And Maura was trying to reach the boy. Remember how she's trying to fight through all those people to reach the boy? Could that tie to a miscarriage in some way? Like, you got to fight through these obstacles to save the kid?
Somehow they are connected, and I don't think it's an accident that we've been shared with that she had a miscarriage and that she can't have future children.
Good point. What I would call the Captain Ike team after the fight, they all retreat.
Yeah, well, I mean, he must have been in the Navy, right? I mean, he started yelling out commander calls,
Right. So they all go down to the nice dining room in upper class, and Maura's defeated. She has a brief moment where you're talking about where we see her and Daniel, and she notices the stuff on Daniel's scars, his looks, when suddenly out pops the boy from the exact same place he had been stored in the Prometheus. Is the Prometheus just like stage one? I keep going to crazy theories early, but it seems like what happened on the Prometheus is happening on the Kerberos. All those passengers disappeared. Well, all the passengers on the Kerberos are disappearing because they're just being thrown overboard. I mean, like...
Yeah, and, they were worried about burning the bodies. Well, why would they do that when they could just throw them overboard, So what about the light from the cabinet when the boy started to come out? Like, where is that a gateway to? He's holding the pyramid. Is it like the eye on the pyramid? Something like that? Is it, just a trap door to the Prometheus and he can bounce back and forth? Maybe he's been on the Kerberos the entire time. It's just he goes in the cupboard to bounce back and forth.
What I thought is it felt a bit more like a video game thing. You know how sometimes when your character dies in a video game, your character respawns kind of
that's fun.
always in the same space if you haven't advanced to the next level. So the boy gets thrown overboard, he just respawns in the same place.
That's pretty cool. I actually like that theory a lot.
Okay, listeners, what do you think? At DoublePHQ on Twitter, Instagram, and Hive. Facebook.com/WPHQ. Down in the comments, how are you finding 1899? Let's go to a story that I don't think got you too excited or got me too excited, Tiny, but Ling Yi and her story. She begins by having this dream of herself being locked in a chest and thrown to the bottom of the ocean. Once again, it's Maura's voice which tells her to wake up. We find out through a lot of things that Ling Yi wanted to go to the New World, I guess is the nicest way to say it. The way she thought she could get to the New World was by taking somebody's place. She meant for somebody to take this and just kind of fall asleep, and so then she could take her place. But the person took too much and ended up poisoned and dying. And then she and her mother put that person in a crate and throw him overboard. And now the evil Miss Wilson, who seems to be the madam in this human trafficking, knows their secret, does this horrific check to find out, Ling Yi, you're still a virgin. Oh, my God. What are your thoughts about this tragedy that she keeps remembering? Like the fog seems to keep pulling her back to this horrific thing that happened in her past. Any thoughts on Ling Yi's storyline, Tiny?
I think I'm with you, Bubba. I feel like maybe this is just a setup to get us to pay attention to something else, like, is it Lucien?
Who was going to be her first client,
Yeah, with him having the seizure in her room. I feel like it just kind of was a setup to get to that. I don't know. I still don't think we understand why she has to pretend to be Japanese. I mean, I don't know.
Well, once again, our character without a storyline, I want to call him, Olek, is the one where she's running from her mother, almost running from the memory, and she puts herself on a box on the upper deck, on the deck there on the Kerberos, and she starts flashing back to that time again. And Olek is the one who helps her out, when he helps her out of the box and she's pulled from that flashback, She says to him, "We are not supposed to have dreams."
Yikes.
No, that is tough. You want to get to the New World. I understand, hey, getting to the New World, but this is a terrible way to do it. Now, Miss Wilson, once again, because I don't believe this is really real, Miss Wilson, the fact that she's the madam, the fact that she's the one in charge of this human trafficking, I would think, oh, she's part of the system. She's not real. But Miss Wilson actually has an envelope too. One of those envelopes that, her first name is Virginia. It says that on the envelope. On the flip side of the envelope, it says, "What is lost will be found." So there's some evil people part of this experiment as well.
Well, are you assuming the envelope is written by somebody evil, though?
Oh, good point. Once again, I'm making these calls. You're right. I shouldn't be making, but I guess I consider whoever's doing this evil because they're not. This is like an unconscious thing. It could be to help these people, once again, find what is lost. It could be to help them find these things, but to then get them in a state where they don't understand that this is part of the process of healing or whatever. I do think that's a little rough, even for somebody like Virginia Wilson, who I keep calling the haughty woman, who in this story really is terrible, really is a villain. It's not cool.
Why does the mom not have to wear the makeup and the wig?
Wonderful question. Wonderful question, but did the mom help the daughter cover up a murder? And what is interesting about a lot of these characters who get their spotlight episode is they're all involved in a death. So once again, Maura, she lost her child. We had Captain Ike, he lost his family in the fire. We had Ling Yi, who accidentally killed somebody. And then we'll get to Lucien in a bit, but he also is stealing from the dead. He's stealing from his dead captain to get that medal. So there could be something about, once again, mourning, getting back what is lost, getting back those memories of the people you lost. Unsure of what Yuji's kind of purpose in this story is yet, but we shall find out. We're holding off on Jerome and Lucien until the end, but let's get to Krester.
Krester's taken a turn in my book.
In the last podcast, I was like, save these people, and save Krester. He seems good. Krester has officially become the worst. Why? Listen, I understand he's got issues going on about how he can't be himself based on his mother's religion. But Krester, you have gone to the dark side, dude. This is not good.
Those fake tears. He's only got tears on one side of his face, but I'm not buying them.
Right. He gets tear. Is it on the same side as the scar?
No, it's the opposite. One side is scarred, right. One side produces the tears.
So Krester and Angel have another tete-a-tete there at their spot where, they're both kind of, Krester's locked in. He can't express his sexuality natural, but then his little sister is dead. And in Tove, once again, I have no idea how to pronounce her name. It's Tove. I listened to her mother pronounce it, and she didn't hit the E too hard, so it does seem like it's Tove or
Tove.
Tove, right.
Okay.
Whatever it is, but Tove is real interesting in that she kind of takes charge. I thought Krester was the spotlight of this Danish family, but it's really his pregnant sister. So these mutineers, why do they want to mutiny? Because they keep finding dead bodies everywhere. To keep the game analogy going, these are like non-playable characters in my own theory. I'm thinking, why are we as an audience not mourning these sudden innocent people who are dying? Because they're not real, they're non-playable characters.
Poor Ada.
Well, that is a great point. Poor Ada, exactly right. Oh, I should point out, everybody was involved in somebody. I mentioned Ramiro, killed a man, took his clothes. So everybody's doing this. But Tove is part of the group that is like, okay, let's turn this ship around. But then when Tove finds out, oh, part of our mission is we're going to kill the boy, that's when she flips to be like, Mom, you're nuts. This is too much. This is too crazy. But she is part of that group. Now, Tove shows her good side because the mutineers are trying to explain to her, hey, Ada died. We know that, look, all these deaths happened once we went to the Prometheus. What came back from the Prometheus? This boy. Tove doesn't want to translate to the other Danes about, hey, this kid could be it.
Leave it to Krester.
Leave it to Krester. Oh, my God. This is Krester, once again, completely evil. Ibn, the mother of these two, is like, the boy is the devil in disguise. That's almost to me like a red light flashing. He's not. That's not it. Like if they're telling us the boy is the devil in disguise, the boy isn't the devil in disguise. Her father, Anchor, places a hand on her pregnant belly and said, he's like, perhaps God gave her a gift with her child, allowing her to carry the light inside her. Now, so the mother has gone crazy. The mother's like, we got to find this boy and kill him. The dad is torn. And so what are any thoughts on the parents outside of the mother? Ibn is just nuts.
Yeah, I mean, the mother is nuts. I mean, the church that they're going to start is going to be pretty judgy. Spoiler alert. So anybody looking to join that church should know that. I was kind of surprised Anchor wasn't more in the mix.
Yeah, I was too.
You think about, missionaries, I guess, and you think of the male having more of a voice, but not in this family. She reminded me of...
the mom.
The mom is Susan Sarandon in, Gina Davis.
And Thelma and Louise?
Thelma and Louise, yes. Ibn is Susan Sarandon in Thelma and Louise.
Well, that means the Kerberos is about to go to do a jump into Mexico somehow. Now, once again, Krester is being bad, but you could almost there's so many times you think, okay, Krester, you're going to turn around and not be so terrible. And what ends up happening? The mother and her mob are looking for the boy. We got to find the boy. So they bust into Angel's cabin. The mom finds out that Angel knows Krester's name. Uh-oh. The ghost is given up. Krester, when push comes to shove, Krester sides with his mom and spits in Angel's face. Oh, yeah. Not cool.
What's the watch? Is there any significance to the watch that they thought about taking and did not take?
Right. I wonder about that.
And here it is, Angel. Then I drop it and I thought, maybe she'll step on it.
That's what I thought too.
But they leave it.
Right. In Ibn, considering what she was going to do to the boy, you would think she'd be tempted to do the same with Angel, because he's probably doing things that her religion would not be too fond of either. So, listen, Tove pulls Krester aside. She's trying to give him a reality check. Dude, come on. Listen, she questions if Krester's truly willing to sacrifice the boy just to get his mother's love. Krester, once again, he has a flash of moment like he's going to be good. And then he snaps back to evil. He says, stop blaming Mom and Dad for what happened to you, meaning this pregnancy that probably was out of wedlock. And he says that his sister is only interested in her own misery. Krester, can he be redeemed, or is this just too much?
Krester, I think it's just, I don't know. He's not a hero character. I really think, who's the guy that is Enoch?
Olek. Right.
I mean, I really think he's taking Krester's place.
Yeah.
As the kind of reasonable one that you connect with.
Exactly right. Okay, well, let's get to your favorite character and the most interesting storyline. And so, Lucien, Clemence, I can't pronounce her name, but I think she's also part of the system. I don't think she's real. I think there's something going on there, and we'll talk about that in Jerome. So in episode 3, which is really focused on Ling Yi, we do learn more about Lucien and his medicine. And he believes he's going to die, right? He thinks he's going to die. He's just taking this medicine to help with his seizures. And now we kind of find out why. There's a flashback to the French Foreign Legion. Lucien and Jerome are in deep, deep trouble there in the desert. What's interesting is in the distance of the desert shot, there's 4 smoke signals going up in the distance. And it's a bit like the Kerberos' signal. But anyway, they're there. Their troops have been ruined. Lucien's like, I'm getting the hell out of here. I'm going to steal the dead officer's medal, or I'm going to get out of here, steal the dead officer's coat, pretend to be somebody else, get a new life. And Jerome is the guy who's like, listen, you can't do that to the dead. And Lucien is too terrified. He knocks Jerome out, throws him in a prison, gives him the dead guy's medal, and say, well, you can sell this in prison to make it a little bit better.
They were friends.
They were friends. But this is a bit like the issue that Captain Ike has. Captain Ike says, we're going to find this, we're going to turn this ship around, we're going to bring the Prometheus back, we got to figure out what's going on. I think in this issue, though, I did wonder, okay, Jerome, if it's just the two of you guys, leave. There's no point in, we're going to get supplies in 2 days. That's what you assume. Leave. I'm with Lucien, leave, but I'm not with Lucien beating up your buddy Jerome and leaving him to die. Or leaving him in a cell. I thought that was terrible.
Terrible. Now, is it weird that Lucien didn't seem to know that Jerome was on the ship?
He hasn't seen him yet. Jerome, in a previous episode, we'd seen Jerome sneak in and leave that medal on Lucien's desk to be like, I remember the sin you did, Lucien, but But of course, Lucien's wife, Clemence, finds it and puts it in a drawer for him to find in this episode. So Jerome and Olek, they're both good guys. Once again, I'm putting together my team. Jerome and Olek are on my team. And because they're prisoners, because they dared to side with Captain Ike, they have the worst job imaginable. Go up to the upper deck and toss the dead overboard. Oh, how terrible.
Drew the short straw on that one.
And Ada's body is, of course, the one placed on the top. You would think, based if they just, she would be on the bottom and they just keep putting. Anyway, Ada goes first. And as they're doing this, of course, this is very much like Lost. Jerome has a flashback to that dead person back in the French Foreign Legion desert. And he gets scared for half a moment. And then Clemence and Lucien have a big fight. Lucien, this marriage is a mess. But again, I don't think Clemence is real. Her earrings, which have the triangle symbol on them, I think somehow she's part of the helping them find what is lost. And she doesn't, or at the very least, she has no love for her husband, Lucien.
He did try to protect her, though, I
That's
thought.
true.
In the deck fight, because I thought, well, they don't care about each other at all. But he seemed to want to offer some protection to her before he realized that it was Jerome and everything.
Now, Jerome, as he and Olek are throwing bodies overboard, they realize, hey, there's a chance for one of us to escape. So Jerome does this move. He escapes, but they're chasing him. It's almost like the upper class decks are almost like a maze. You go around these cabins and then you go around and you're like lost in a maze. Finally, he finds the room with Clemence in it, and the two of them connect, and Clemence is very helpful. But one thing that made me once again think that Clemence is not real is, how did she know his name, Jerome? She goes, I'll help you, Jerome. And I was like, wait, he never said his name. How do you know his name?
Yeah, it was weird because when you were watching them come together in the cabin, they felt familiar, but I wasn't sure that they knew each other until she said his name.
Now, Lucien is not trying to find what is lost. He takes that metal and throws it overboard. He's trying to let what's lost be lost.
You think it will be regenerated?
Watch the boy have it in his pocket with a green beetle, of course. When Jerome is thrown in his cell, he has a flashback to his time in the cell. And Lucien's really terrible. Once again, he's a bit terrible, like Virginia Wilson, the haughty woman, is a bit terrible. And so I want to believe that somehow this trip is supposed to help them find what is lost. But Lucien and Nurse Wilson, I keep calling her Nurse Wilson, but Miss Wilson, they don't deserve to find what is lost. To hell with them.
Now, you have to say, though, Lucien did not go for Ling Yi.
That's true. That's true. He wasn't going to take advantage of this woman. It was like he just wanted some peace. Just being around her gave him some peace. And maybe he could be himself, or he was afraid to even take that medicine and have a seizure in front of Clemence. Now, Jerome is a total hero. We mentioned how he was the one who grabbed a hammer and was like, you're not taking that kid, and he gets shot. But he pops back up. And then he comes face to face with Lucien, and Lucien's got a gun in his face. And he's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. Now, Lucien does grab his wife and leave, but Jerome is like, he's becoming a leader, and I'm down with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's always been a leader.
Lucien asks Clemence why she was with Jerome, and he instructs her not to listen to anything he says. Lucien just can't,
This is why I say maybe he does care about her. Right. You know what I mean? Well, instead of like, you can have her, he wants his reputation with her to be defended or clear.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Tiny, it is time for a shore excursion. We've done all the characters, all the storylines. It's a time for our shore excursion to Theory Island. What the hell is going on here? So my first Theory Island thing is I keep going to what is lost will be found. I keep returning to that. And so I thought, well, what if the thing that's lost is something you can't remember? The show began with the mind is wider than this. So if it's something you can't remember, and that this program, this kind of thing they're on, is to, hey, can we remember the thing that was lost? I don't know exactly what was lost from these characters, but this will help them remember something. Oh, this will help me remember that my wife loved me, even though she set herself and the family on fire, if you're Captain Ike. Oh, this, oh, that. And I mentioned that the people dying on the ship are like non-player characters, but there was also that part of Inception where in Inception, you could enter somebody's dream, and there would be these imaginary people in there, but they were just kind of like nobodies. And so I had a thought about that. Like, They're just part of the dream there to make the experience feel real, just like in a dream. The extras in Inception were just there. Spoiler for Inception. Boy, everything I did.
Ouch.
Right, they were just there. So my theory is somehow this is about what is lost, will be found, and we're in somebody's mind, the fog of memory, the fog of recollection.
That's interesting. That's good. What if all the people on our current ship were on the Prometheus?
Oh,
I mean, he just had a page that said Maura's name, but what if...
they were all on the Prometheus.
I mean, I hate to spoil Lost.
Here we go. Get ready. Okay, do it.
Pause it. But, I mean, what if they all died on the Prometheus and they are in the, island in Hawaii waiting to be rescued and they're all in purgatory?
That is a wonderful question. Purgatory makes a lot of sense with Kerberos, the three-headed dog that guards the gates of hell, right?
Oh.
What was Prometheus's definition again?
Not good. I remember that. Something about Hades.
So there's also a chance, let me say listeners, there's also a chance that all the answers aren't given here in season 1. So tell us what you think of our theories. I have a feeling most of you guys have finished the series by now. So at DoublePHQ, YouTube down in the comments. And let's hear what our listeners have said to us this week.
I think the listeners are just laughing at us. We're so off base.
I hope so. So our first bit of feedback, read it, Tony.
Dooley's left leg GS says 1899 is messing with my head. I'm only 30 minutes in. I get it.
Dooley, it's going to be messed with a whole lot worse. Michael B. Swarden, who's at Lord of Sword 94 on Twitter, just wrote and said, I'm liking 1899 a lot. Hell yeah.
All right, Camille at Harley Camille, I enjoyed the second episode. I just hope that I don't need to like I had to do with Dark.
No spoilers. Very good. I mentioned we had feedback from Double M Matt Murdoch where he said Catfish should be completely offended that we didn't refer to the boy as a double K creepy kid.
It's so funny. I had that thought later.
Okay, now, on last week's podcast, we were talking about the creepiest kid in fiction, and we got some feedback on that. Bill Kava, who's at Bill Kava on Twitter, just sent us a picture of The Omen. That kid was pretty terrible.
Yeah. Google it.
Okay.
Endless Mike at Endless Mike 03. I've never seen a show with so many languages. That's a great point. Creepy kid. I mean, they all, I watch it dubbed. I don't know about our listeners, but I'm watching it dubbed, but there's translation. I don't know who is from where.
Well, I said before the show was even released that this is the perfect Netflix show. Netflix wants an international hit. How do you get an international hit? Have as many languages as possible in the show. This is wonderful. Creepy. Endless Mike also had his vote for the creepiest kid.
Gosh, if you guys could see our screen right now. I mean, nightmares.
He sent a picture of one of the children of the Cord. Oh, my goodness gracious.
Laura McMillian at MesoCat. I just got the podcast. It's going to be fun. So far, hashtag 1899. Netflix looks like a cross between WandaVision, like you messaged, and Shutter Island.
Ooh.
Of course, anything that uses White Rabbit for its theme would be trippy. I didn't catch the symbol was alchemical cool, but I do think the beetle is a scarab, which the ancient Egyptians viewed as a symbol of renewal and birth.
And we're dealing with a pyramid.
Wow.
Very good, Laura. Very good, Laura.
You think the beetle lives in the pyramid, or did I just miss that? It's a
I don't know.
fact.
That's a wonderful. Well, I don't know enough about Egyptian mythology, but that makes a whole lot of sense. Now, Laura also got in with her vote for the creepiest kids. And she said she's going not with one creepy kid, but all the kids from Village of the Damned. And
I've never seen that movie, and after seeing this picture, I'm not sure I will.
So, Tiny, that's the feedback for this week. Let's end like we end every podcast with our big question of the day. We are 4 episodes into 1899. We were about 4 episodes into Dark when spoiler things happened. So, and you realized that somebody... I will edit that out too. Okay, where you realize some character's relationship to another character. How about that? So, 4 episodes in, this is the showrunner and director from Dark, and now they're making 1899. What do you like better about Dark? What do you like better about 1899? What do you think about these shows halfway through season 1 of each?
I feel like with 1899, I can track the characters a little bit better. On Dark, there was kind of a shoe drop moment on that. And I've seen some surprises, but not anything that is that big so far. Maybe that's yet to come.
I think it goes back to my notes at the beginning of last week's podcast. Dark was very relatable in that it's this town. I'm saying something that happens very early in the show, people. So the town, a kid is missing. So listen, that's first 5 episodes of Dark. I'm going to leave that in the podcast. So you could relate to it. Once again, you could relate to people's feelings. And it got pretty trippy pretty quickly. But Dark didn't go completely bonkers. And a wonderful bonkers. Once again, I love Dark. It didn't go completely bonkers almost until the end of season 1, beginning of season 2 is when it was like, okay, we're going to take this idea as far and as crazy as it could go. And so that made these characters more relatable. And before it went to Bonkers Town, I was able to get attached to the characters and grow to care about them. In this, because it went to Bonkers Town almost from the jump, it's harder to connect with them. But certainly Jerome, Olek, everybody I've said I'm on their team, I have connected with them. And even if this is a dream like I keep imagining, or an experiment to help these people remember what they've lost, I'm growing to care about them. Where on Dark, very quickly I cared about them and then could go to Bonkers Island.
Well, and I think, we've said Jerome is my favorite character, but I think the reason I like that storyline is because Clemence and Jerome seem to care about each other.
Oh, good point.
They're the only people on the ship who actually seem to care one way or the other about each other.
Wonderful point. Hey, have you watched Dark, the show that we have not spoiled, at least in this episode? Write to us and let us know at WTF on Twitter and Instagram, and The Hive Social. I just signed up for The Hive Social. I have no idea what it is. I hear a lot of positive things.
The Hive Social.
It's the anti-Elon Twitter is what people are hoping.
Oh my goodness, okay.
Hey, for everybody here at the Kerberos Muster Drill, my name's Bubba.
And I'm Tiny.
And we'll see you as we go embark on episodes 5 and 6.